Hi, what's up, buddy? How's it going? Why not? Good morning. It's Saturday morning. We're gonna do some tips and some tricks with the OpXY today. So I had some stuff going on. Hope everybody's doing okay. Yeah, good stuff, huh? Yeah, I've been loving it too. A couple tricks I'll be teaching today. Hopefully this will maybe give you some ideas. Hopefully you can share some of yours as well. So yeah, that's what's gonna happen today. I got the manual pulled up and everything, so we're gonna have some fun. And let me get into some of the pages right now. Hold on a second. Alright, let's start talking. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully everybody's doing alright. I had a little bit of a intro song. Wasn't anything special. It was something I just kind of made. My joke is it's like elevator music, so I'm going to make a new one. Oh yeah, no problem, man. Hey, I'm glad I could help. I had been having sync issues, and I think TE thought I was out of my mind, and then it turned out that it was the cable. So I always like sharing little tidbits or things that I'm starting to learn with it. The other thing that we're starting to work on, or that I'm working on a lot of times in the studio, is phrasing, like musical phrasing. So when you turn on the OpXY and you start a brand new untitled project, the first thing I do is I kind of go over and I switch off the click track. And then I also pick a tempo that I want to work at. So let's say we're going to work at like 146 today. And then the other thing is picking the type of swing. Now, a lot of people might not read into this, but there are different types of swings. You know, SH, I believe, is the most common. It's like the Roland style. But there are a bunch of other ones that are really neat. The Dutch one is kind of, or Danish funk, or whatever they call it, is really nice. There are some different ways to create swing. And then this middle bar, wherever you are in the white section, is how swung you are in the track. All right, so the first trick that I really like showing everybody is that I set a metronome by using one of the drum tracks. And like just like the OpXY, I've been getting into this habit that I actually make drum tracks all the way up to number 4. So I will cheat and make all 4 of these drums. And it just doesn't matter what track I'm going to make it. Let me zoom in a little bit more, sorry. And then, so basically from there, I want you to see all the buttons too. Yeah. From there, that's kind of like where my setup starts. So everything, I don't know if everything's drums, but yeah, like there's a lot of drums going on right now. And then for the sake of hearing this thing. Okay, so now the main thing that I start working on is like a way to give myself like a hi-hat rhythm, right? So it would be like quarter notes, you know, or whatever you like to put down to give yourself a metronome. And then when it's running by, I actually have something to work on. Now, live recording tip number 1 is that if I hit record and I just say I messed up, right? So I just do record play, and that would clear the track. So the first tip I give everybody, record play is like a quick undo the record that you're working on. So it's like, hey, I just want to undo this. That's like the quickest way that I know how to undo it. The other way is if you hold this button down, you have clear notes, you have clear parameters, and you have clear all. So clear all is also a way to say, hey, I messed up. I just want that track cleared off. So I like that because a lot of times I'm just sketching ideas and I might really mess up and I'm like, well, I don't need that there, right? So making it super simple, right? This beat itself is just the easiest thing I could make. Okay, the next thing is, like, say I want to copy this. What I just learned was this shift plus. So now I just made that 2 bars. So shift plus is the other shortcut. If you hit a bar and you just want to duplicate what you just did, that's very common on like Electron and stuff like that too, right? So real stupid stuff, right? So, and then the other thing is on that mixer side, you can always go back and if one track's a little too aggressive, give it a little bit of reverb and turn it down, right? So the mixer side always having like ways to mix, right? Now the next thing that we can do is we could talk about, and this again comes from the manual, I'm doing some direct reading, but we just duplicated the bar, right? And the sequence length a lot of times too, you know, you could do things like I want to make it half the time, or 3 or 4 is the time. This is dividing the time if you hold down the bar button, right? The other one is bar plus, that just adds more to the bar. So if you need more than 1 bar, you need up to 4 bars, you can do that as well, right? And then let's go back to track this one and clear it. So my shortcut to clear the track is record stop, and that will clear whatever track you're on. And if you hold record too, that's like a quick record and then off record. That's the other trick I learned, is holding down record, right, is like a quick record, right? And so hopefully these tricks are pretty fast and easy for you guys to remember. Okay, so now let's say I want to record a bass line and I'm on number 5 for the bass line, and I want to make sure I give myself a couple, 2 bars. So I hit bar and I hit plus. That gives me 2 bars to record under, right? And then I hit record, and now I'm patiently waiting. Now, the trick here is if you hit record play, the first note that you hit will start the sequencer. Okay, so this is a tip for live recording. If I hit record play and you guys, you can see the first light is blinking, yep, that means that it's ready on the first note that I press. So I'm going to be like, right, and that's just an easy way to like live record in. Now I'm going to filter down a little, right? And there's another really big trick here with automating the filter. If you hold down the record button, anything I turn in the filter section now will actually automate. So check this out. So I'll be like, and you saw I just automate it, right? And then the other tip is, if I'm going to automate it, I turn off the key tracking and the amount of the envelope to the filter. And the other thing I like to do is smooth it out. If you hold down bar and you turn this last one, it'll take that jitter and it'll smooth it out. So that makes a very smooth like turn, right? Okay, so we got that going. I'm gonna do a little bit of reverb on that one. Pretty cool sound, right? And then my next one, number 6, I usually do a keyboard, and we're going to talk about some tricks on making this keyboard get recorded easily. So say we go to electric piano, right, a little bit loud, but we can go with that. And then the idea that I want this 4 bars long, Smooth out tip. Yeah, you like that one? That's a good one, right? Yeah, the smoothing out is always nice. And remember, that's hidden within the bar. That's just called, I believe that's called shape. So you can smooth out any knob turns that you do. Okay, so from there, if I'm going to record my piano part next, right? And we're just got this groove kind of going, right? I know I have 4 bars, but guess what? I want to make that even longer. So I did divide by 2, right? Changes the resolution. And now that should be like 128 bars long for the chords. So I'm going to do something like that. And I'm going to do a couple really elegant little chords. So the first one I'll do is... And these are my 2-note chords. This comes from my 2-note chord lesson. I'm making 2-note chords in the key of C minor, and I'm doing that so I don't have to play really complicated, but it's going to give a lot of space to the music. So again, if I hit record now, it's going to blink like it's ready, and the first chord I play will start the sequencer. So let's check it out. Nice recording, right? And then again, if that volume's a little bit hot, I could just like turn it kind of down, right, in the mix, give it some reverb, put it back in the mix, right? Now, what people don't know is that you can actually automate the mixer, I believe, too. I heard that somebody didn't know this, but if I hold record and say I wanted to automate volume, give it like a VCA automation, right? Watch what happens. So let's see if that worked. Yep. So you see that? We just automated the mixer, and I'm going to smooth it out too. Isn't that crazy? You can even automate like how much the delay feed comes in. Watch. See that? The delay I automated as well. So you're automating how much the delay feed gets too. See it moving? I didn't know this, okay? So remember, you can automate the mixer and you just gotta hold record when you're in the mixer section. We're on track number 6 and that's the one we're automating, right? Okay, so a couple more tips. That was mixer automation. Now number 7, we're going to add a new sound. I'm going to get rid of the string, and we're going to use a snapshot that I did. I've been working on a lot of new sounds. Basically, I've been recording wavetables. This was mic feedback in my studio. So that's just the sine wave. There's some good ones. Yeah, this one. This is the magic feedback. So I basically recorded feedback from a microphone, and it's pretty creepy sounding, right? Almost like a pipe organ sound, right? Now, when you take a sample, the other thing that is really helpful that I don't know if people know when they're taking samples, the filter section, of course, is extremely helpful, but it's the LFO section. So if you haven't done this much, the LFO section, I just go to value because I believe that's the easiest one to use. I can pick a location, and in this instance, I'm going to pick something like filter, right? Something really, really simple, right? And when I'm on filter, I'm going to just make sure that there's nothing crazy, no modulation, no filter key tracking, right? And then we're going to go and we're going to start moving that filter to see. And this is automated to the beat. Let's go this way. So I really like automating the filter. everything, right? So you got something that's actually moving now, right? And again, that filter can be... See how nice that sounds? So that was filter, that was a feedback sound. And then I added the LFO to it. So LFO. And now we're going to listen to me playing a little bit. Okay, but what if I wanted to copy the MIDI from one of those sections? Like, what if I just wanted to take the MIDI from here and copy it, right? Couldn't I do it? I could say copy the MIDI from that last track, right? And then I should be able to paste it, right? So now, same thing. It gives it like a creepy tied together vibe. So copying and pasting your MIDI is also like highly recommended. Okay, and when I say that, that means I can copy things from one track to another. And all I did was use the functions that are inside of here. So remember, you can copy from one channel and then you can paste it to the next. And that way you can have like what I call like a duo sound, something that's like layered, right? And now I'm going to go to this last track, right? And with the last track, we're going to talk about a couple other small tips. Now, the first one I gave, if I'm playing a lead, and that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to pick a lead sound, right? And we're going to play a lead synth, right? Okay, so pick a lead one. Right? And as it's playing, as you hit record, remember that record stop would actually be a quick, like, clear. And we're going to add 4 bars, right? We're going to hit record. And we're armed to play. And now we're going to start doing our take. So let's see what it starts happening. On this track, you actually could change the way that it runs. So my tip is I record it 1 and then I do divide 4 to get something that I normally wouldn't play. So now we're going to animate some more stuff. So the animation side of this, maybe we want to speed that back up. So let's see. And I love it. So once you get that animation going, we want to smooth it out. So now I'm getting into the animation of our lead sound, right? I mean, we're animating multiple things. So like the idea that the sound and now we have like an animated envelope, right? Now, let's say, for sake of argument, you really messed up and you were like, you know what, that was like way too much. Just don't forget, like if I hold down, this is the way you save things or copy or make like a scramble. We don't want to do that, right? What do we want to do? We want to see if we can clear just the parameter locks. So that would be number 2 if I held down my bar button. So don't forget, like you don't have to just like scrap a track because you like over animated. I learned that clear parameters is kind of nice because now you see how that like didn't ruin. Now the playing in that was terrible, so like yeah, I want to clear that too. But what I was saying is more, remember, clear parameters is if you just want to clear the automation you did, not just the notes you did too, because you can clear notes as well and keep the animation. Clear all would clear everything. All right, so we're gonna go back, we're gonna record on track 8, live record. So I hit record, play. which means it's listening and it's ready to go. And anything we play here forward, it will remember. So let's remember we're in C minor. I'm going to go an octave up, and let's see what happens. See, that makes like a super cool breakdown, right? And now, you know, you can come right back in. Okay, now, one more tip I'm going to give everybody that I didn't know. You could basically do step effects per step, like basically on the device. So like if I'm here and I was thinking that I wanted to put like a glitched out sound on the snare drum, you know, we actually could do that, okay? And that's like the craziest part about this device that like I didn't really know is that the step recorder stuff or the step automation happens like literally on this right here. So if we're making a drum beat and I hold a button, it's going to be insane. You ready for this? So like I can put a simple drum beat, now I can do a step component. So if I hold shift and then I hold the spot, I can add a step component to this, like random, right? Like what if I got a random step component here and it asks you a question. It says 5-step, 1-step right here. So it's telling you, and I didn't know that. So remember that if you hold down shift and you touch a note that you programmed, now let's see what happens. So that's the snare drum at random. So it's a different sound every time instead of the same sound, right? So same with the hi-hat. Like, what if you don't want this to be like some boring hi-hat, right? If I hold shift and I touch a couple of them and I touch random, so now we might not want to do random on number 2, right? So if I did shift 2, you can see which one's on. I can turn it off. But we got random on the other track now, right? And so same with that ride symbol. Like, what if you wanted like one of the rides to not be that symbol? You could like shift, step, random, you know. So remember, you can do step components like actually on the track, which is like really insane. I did not know that. So step components are like, again, if the bass was running, right? And let's say I hit stop, and on this note in the bass line, if I do shift, this note, and this note, and we're going to do, let's do like one of the hold functions, like the fan, right? So right now I've got tonality, right? And then we're going to say that was on these two. Now let's also do a different one on this one and this one. We're going to do band. So it's a band pass filter. Let's see what happens now. And this is with the bass line, step effects. It's not super noticeable, right? But when we go back to the whole, it's becoming more animated, right? The other tip is when you're on this component, step number 2, don't forget that there's 2 pages to the arranger. There's this page and this page. Did you see this like symbol up here? So this is going to be the symbol, like the difference between being in the actual MIDI section with your music and this being in the step component section. So we can do automation, right? And the thing that I learned is instead of feeling like your step components are rushed, because then you don't have enough time to hear them, don't forget that when you're in this section, you also can slow it down to 4 bars, right? So now your step components happen over 64 bars, not just 1 bar. So let's see what happens there too. So I'm gonna hit play. That was horrible, I'm sorry. That was so bad. But if I hit record now, remember, I'm going to hit record, and again, that's going to start on number 1. It should be blinking, yes, as you can see. So that's like, hey, I'm listening, and now whatever I do next, it's going to live record. So let's listen to see what happens. Ready? So now... little more like music. Okay. Notice that's over 64 bars, okay? But the cooler thing with step components that we could do is we could also say divide by 4. So now they're not going to happen as fast. Again, they're going to happen over the course of 128 bars. So playing with the resolution to me makes it a lot more fun, because then you can go back to where it's faster, and then you can be like, you know what, I'm going to slow it down. So don't forget that you can do step components, and then you can make the ratio, you know what I mean, the grid resolution change. Okay, so I would say that grid resolution changing is a super interesting part of the step components, because don't forget that you don't have to do it as rushed as you can. You could do it over 4 bars, you know, the resolution, and over 4 bars divided by 4. This is going to be even longer. So I would say remember that, okay? And when you're inside the step component and you're doing your work, okay, let's say that you've got a step component here that you've put down. What I like to say is, like, you could also switch them. You can do multiple step components. Did you see this? On the same step. So once one's down, it's crazy. I think you can do up to 4 on that same step. So see how I can, like, actually, maybe I can do all of them, which would be a jumbled mess. But remember, the step components are polyphonic as well. Okay, that means you can do multiple step components in the same place. If you hit shift and touch one, it should tell you what step components are there, you know? And if it doesn't, you know what I mean, you just touch one and it'll tell you. So down and up, you know, you can do those two together, which wouldn't make much sense. But step components can be layered polyphonically. Okay, so that was another one. And also, don't forget that you could mute a step component. So, like, if you did not want to hear it for a bar or two, guess what? We just... muted the step components, right? So I don't have to hear them. If you hold this down, do you see how the red's missing here? And now I'm going to turn it back on. So kind of fun, right? It's kind of crazy. All right, and then if you were like, okay, I want to hear it over a longer period of time, holy crap, divide by 6. Don't forget, I don't want to hear it. I'm going to mute it. This is taking forever. Yeah, we muted it. We hit the 29-minute mark. Like I said, muting step components, layering step components, having step components per track you could do. That's what we covered today. The other things that I talked about was record play, which is clear as a track. That's another favorite of mine. I also talked about, as you're making tracks, don't forget that you can go to the filter and hold down record and actually record that automation. And that the bottom one that says basically shape is the one that will smooth it out. So these are some of the tips that I've been using. You can hear the way this track sounds. Not bad. Fun ideas, you know, and I extract a lot of MIDI from these tracks. So if you're wondering what I do too, is sometimes I just say MIDI out and I plug this all into Ableton Live and I'll just extract the MIDI out of the XY. But get intimate with your manual. If you need anything, reach out to me and let me know what you need, meaning text or email. You can hit me up on the website. You can hit me up in the comment section. I appreciate everybody watching and just checking out the channel. If you want to subscribe or tell a friend to subscribe or to like any of the videos, that just tells me the content I'm making is helping you. And I'm always around for extra help or tips. So if you want to share projects, if you want any of the sample libraries I've made, I recently just cleared mine, meaning in my user bank, See how there's nothing there? So I took my first 88 projects and cleared them. I'm going to start working on new projects and new content with the XY with the new update. I think their linking tracks doesn't work. I really wanted to show everybody like how you can link like a bunch of tracks together and then affect them all at the same time, but I don't think that works in 10.025. It could be me, but yeah, sometimes their new functions don't always work the way they say they do. So, I'll get vocal and tell them about that. But like I said, if anybody needs anything, you want to reach out, you know where I'm at. And enjoy the Saturday, enjoy your weekend, and thanks for tuning in.